Welcome to Co-Pilot Podcasts. Over 40,000 people are about to pack Wembley Stadium this Sunday, and somewhere in that crowd, a prediction scorecard is either going to make someone look like a genius or completely embarrass them in front of their entire wrestling community. Today, we are breaking down AEW All In 2026, specifically the full match card, the booking philosophy behind every pick, and what the results are going to tell us about where both AEW and WWE actually stand in 2026. By the end of this episode, you will know how to read a wrestling card not just as a fan, but as someone who understands the business logic underneath every result. I have got someone here who has been living inside this card all week, and I want to start with the biggest question on the table. Is Will Ospreay actually winning the AEW World Championship at Wembley? And why does that pick matter beyond just...
Ospreay over Omega is the correct call, and here is why it matters beyond just the result. AEW has been pointing at that specific match for over a year. The stadium pop for Ospreay winning in London is already written into the DNA of the event. If they do not put the world title on him there, they are leaving the biggest emotional moment they could possibly produce completely on the table.
And this is at Wembley Stadium, which I want to make sure people understand the scale here. Tony Khan said on his pre-event media call that AEW is approaching a $6 million gate for this show. $6 million!
Right, and Khan also said the top 3 shows in AEW history have all come from Wembley Stadium. All 3. So this is not just a big show, it is the biggest show they run every single time they go back to that building. The English wrestling community, specifically, has made this event into something AEW cannot replicate anywhere else.
So let's actually set the full card for people who haven't been following the build. What are we looking at on Sunday?
The main event is Kenny Omega defending the AEW World Championship against Will Ospreay. Below that, you have Willow Nightingale defending the Women's World Championship against Mercedes Moné. Kyle Fletcher defending the International Championship in a 3-way against Konosuke Takeshita and Kazuchika Okada. Kevin Knight defending the TNT Championship against Darby Allin in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Adam Copeland and Christian Cage defending the World Tag Team Championships against the Young Bucks. A Casino Gauntlet match for a future world title shot with MJF, Andrade El Idolo, Tommaso Ciampa, Chris Jericho, and Mark Davis among the confirmed entrants. Jon Moxley versus Nigel McGuinness in the Continental Challenge Cup Final. Divine Dominion versus the Brawling Birds for the Women's Tag Team Championships. And a Trios Roulette Royale with a wildcard team that has not been revealed yet.
That is a loaded card. And what I find interesting is that almost every match on that card has a booking philosophy argument attached to it. It is not just about who wins, it is about what the win signals.
That is exactly the right way to read it. Every result is a statement about where AEW thinks its roster is going. And that is also where the WWE comparison becomes useful. Because you can hold both companies up against the same standard. Which company is actually turning its stacked roster into meaningful stars the fastest?
Before we go match by match, let's give people the broader context. Because in 2026, AEW and WWE are operating in genuinely different ways. It is not just a style difference anymore.
Right. According to analysis from Suplex Digest, WWE is in what they call its post-Bloodline renaissance, running as part of Tico Group Holdings alongside UFC, with record-breaking pay-per-view buys and what they describe as its best roster depth in 15 years. AEW is in year 7 of operations, settled into a stable position with a loyal audience of roughly 600,000 to 900,000 weekly viewers and a clear creative identity.
And the platforms are completely different now too, right? WWE went to Netflix.
WWE moved to Netflix for global streaming rights, which expanded its international footprint dramatically. AEW is on HBO Max. And the philosophies match the platforms. WWE has leaned into what one analysis described as a blockbuster movie aesthetic, cinematic storytelling, psychological pacing. AEW broadcasts feel more like high-stakes sporting events. More static camera work, more focus on the technicality of the moves, more international styles like Japanese Puroresu and Mexican Lucha Libre.
So it is genuinely 2 different products for 2 different audiences, not just one being better than the other.
Exactly. And that framing matters for the debate we are setting up here, because the argument is not AEW good, WWE bad. The argument is, which company is making better decisions with what it has? And that is where the all-in card becomes a referendum.
All right, let's go through the picks. Start with the main event. Ospreay over Omega. Walk me through the logic.
The logic is simple. AEW has been building toward this for a year. Ospreay has a clean head-to-head victory over Omega from last year. His current form is described as, quote, scalding hot, and the Wembley crowd is going to be behind him in a way that makes the moment feel enormous. Moneyline Wrestling, which tracks prediction percentages, has Ospreay at 59.3% to win versus Omega at 39.3%. The data and the narrative both point the same direction.
And the WWE counterpoint that connects to this pick is the Roman and Cody fatigue argument.
Right. The argument is that WWE's men's division has a main event fatigue problem around Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, and the fix is not burying either of them, it is putting the big belts on the next physical generation. Oba Femi as World Heavyweight Champion on Raw, Braun Breaker as WWE Champion on SmackDown. Suddenly, your established stars become challengers rather than permanent champions. That is how you combat fatigue without destroying what you built.
That is actually a really clean solution. Make the legends the chasers.
And it works because Oba Femi and Braun Breaker are physically dominant in a way that makes the title feel like it belongs on them. You do not need a long explanation. The audience gets it immediately.
Okay, Women's World Championship. Mercedes Moné versus Willow Nightingale. This one feels like the most debated pick on the card.
Mercedes is the business pick. Willow is beloved, she is a legitimate champion, she is over with the crowd, and she is dealing with a real hand injury heading into this match, which Tony Khan confirmed on the media call. But Mercedes is AEW's mainstream anchor. If she takes another high-profile loss, the character has no clean direction. The question is, literally, if Mercedes does not win the championship here, where does the character go?
And Moneyline Wrestling actually has Willow slightly favored at 55.2% to retain. So this is genuinely split.
It is split, and I understand why people pick Willow. She has momentum, she has the crowd, and Tony Khan loves putting over hometown talent, though Willow is not from England, so that specific factor does not apply here the way it does for the Brawling Birds match. But the business logic for Mercedes is stronger. She is too established to wander into another feud after another high-profile loss.
The WWE counterpoint on the women's side is interesting too. The argument is that both companies are actually struggling with the same problem in their women's divisions.
Both companies have too much talent and not enough decisive wins. On the WWE side, the criticism is that Stephanie Vaquer, Roxanne Perez, Tiffany Stratton, and Julia are all stuck in what one analysis called creative traffic. They are talented enough to be carrying championships, and they are not. On the AEW side, the women's division needs a stronger hierarchy. The solution floated for WWE is unifying the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships into one title that actually means something, and then putting it on someone like JC Jane or Blake Monroe to create a genuinely new era.
One title, one undisputed women's champion, that actually makes the belt feel more important.
Exactly. And the parallel problem in AEW is that the women's division needs clearer hierarchy. You cannot have a division where the championship picture feels unclear week to week. Mercedes winning at Wembley at least gives you a definitive top of the card.
Let's talk about the International Championship three-way. Fletcher versus Takeshita versus Okada. You called this the most revealing result on the entire card.
Because it is. If AEW keeps the gold on Kyle Fletcher, that is a statement. It says, we are genuinely building this person toward the world title. If Takeshita or Okada wins, it says, we wanted the loudest possible three-way match and we let the title follow the match quality. Both are valid choices, but only one of them tells you AEW is serious about Fletcher as a future main eventer.
And the history these three share makes this match genuinely interesting on its own. Former faction mates, longtime rivals, there is real animosity to work with.
The Chillicothe Gazette's wrestling coverage actually made the point that with so much animosity between Takeshita and Okada specifically, Fletcher could lay low and get the win after all the fighting is done. Which is smart booking if you want to protect Fletcher while still delivering a spectacular match.
And the WWE counterpoint here is the mid-card championship clutter argument.
WWE is still running both the Intercontinental Championship and the United States Championship simultaneously. The argument is that is clutter. One definitive secondary world-level championship is more prestigious than two diluted ones. And AEW's problem is actually worse. They are running the World Championship, the International Championship, the TNT Championship, the Continental Championship, and the National Championship. That is a lot of gold for one roster.
Too many belts, not enough prestige per belt.
That is the exact problem. When there are too many championships, the individual belts lose meaning. And the women's continental idea that has been floated is actually one of the few add-a-title suggestions that makes sense because it gives a specific group of wrestlers an identity. Chris Statlander, Julia Hart, Sky Blue, Harley Cameron. That is a real mid-card women's division built around a specific championship.
Okay, TNT Championship. Kevin Knight versus Darby Allin, Falls Count Anywhere. This is being called the most overlooked match on the card.
Men's Journal called it exactly that, the most overlooked match on the card. And the pick is Darby Allin. The Wembley logic is straightforward. Knight is the project. Darby is the chaos merchant who already knows how to make a stadium feel dangerous. Falls Count Anywhere at Wembley is built for Darby.
But the bigger argument underneath this pick is about star hierarchy, right? It is not really about Knight specifically.
Right. The argument is that AEW sometimes stacks future guys ahead of proven main event bodies, and the credibility ladder gets soft. The Bobby Lashley example is the clearest version of this. If you bring in a legitimate main evener and have him working underneath wrestlers who are still finding their ceiling, you are sending a confusing signal about who actually matters on your roster.
Star hierarchy matters. You cannot have a credibility ladder that does not make sense.
And AEW fumbles this sometimes. It is not a constant problem, but it is a real one. The fix is not complicated. You just have to be consistent about who your proven main event bodies are and protect them accordingly.
World Tag Team Championships. Cage and Cope versus the Young Bucks. This one feels like the clearest pick on the card.
Cage and Cope retaining is the safer booking, and it is the right call. Another Young Bucks title run right now does not fix anything structurally in the tag division. The tag division needs new teams to become important, not the same familiar names cycling through the championships again.
And the broader tag division argument is one of the strongest points in this whole breakdown.
AEW's tag division peaked somewhere between 2020 and 2022. It was genuinely one of the best tag divisions in wrestling history during that period. The problem is that the division needs new teams to become important, and that has not happened consistently. WWE's tag division is thin in a different way. It is carried by a small number of teams. And the fix for WWE is almost embarrassingly simple. Reunite Penta and Rey Fenix as the Lucha Brothers, put the WWE Tag Team Championships on them. No complicated build required. They are established, they have chemistry, they look like a championship team. Just do it.
Free money. That is genuinely free money for WWE.
Completely free. And it instantly shakes up a division that needs new energy. Both companies have the same disease in their tag divisions, they just have different severities of it.
Casino Gauntlet. MJF. Walk me through why this is the cleanest pick on the card.
MJF is exactly the kind of wrestler who can win a match like the Casino Gauntlet and immediately turn the victory into storyline currency. He is built for that format. And the post All In World Title program writes itself, MJF wins the Gauntlet, MJF challenges Ospreay for the championship. That is the cleanest path to the next major program in AEW's men's division.
And the Gunther tangent that connects to this pick is genuinely fascinating. The argument is that if Gunther had signed with AEW instead of staying in WWE, he would probably be in the Don Callis family.
AEW has a tendency to build factions around elite singles wrestlers rather than running them as lone monsters. Gunther in AEW would be a dominant physical centerpiece for a faction. Whether it would specifically be the Don Callis family is debatable, but the underlying point is accurate. AEW books monsters differently than WWE does. WWE runs Gunther as a lone dominant force. AEW would almost certainly fold him into a faction structure.
Two completely different philosophies for the same type of wrestler.
And neither is automatically wrong. It depends on what story you are trying to tell. WWE's version of Gunther has been extraordinarily effective, but the AEW version would have been interesting in a completely different way.
Continental Championship. Moxley versus Nigel McGuinness. This one connects to the championship bloat argument.
Moxley retaining is the pick. And the larger point is that AEW has a championship density problem. When there are too many championships, the individual belts lose prestige. The Continental Championship is a real title with a real history, but it gets lost in the noise of everything else AEW is running simultaneously.
And the women's continental division idea is the constructive solution to that problem rather than just complaining about it.
Right. Instead of just saying AEW has too many belts, the argument is take the continental concept and apply it to the women's division in a way that gives a specific group of wrestlers an identity. Chris Statlander, Julia Hart, Sky Blue, Harley Cameron. Those are wrestlers who could carry a mid-card women's championship with a specific competitive identity around it. That is not just adding another title, that is creating a destination.
Women's Tag Team Championships. Brawling Birds versus Divine Dominion. This is the hometown pick.
Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor are both from England. Tony Khan said on the media call that he is a huge fan of Jamie Hayter and put her over for being great outside the ring as well as hard-hitting inside. The crowd at Wembley is going to be fully behind the Brawling Birds, and Tony Khan has a documented tendency to put over hometown talent. The setup is almost too perfect.
But you would push back on the idea that AEW and WWE's women's tag divisions are identical.
I would. WWE at least keeps the women's tag belts on television consistently. AEW's problem is more severe. The division has been treated like an afterthought most weeks. Same disease, different severity. The broader point still stands. Neither company is maximizing women's tag team wrestling, but they are not at the same level of dysfunction.
And the Trios Roulette Royale with the wildcard team, this is the most chaotic match on the card.
Tony Khan confirmed on the media call that there will be 7 trios teams involved, including the Bang Bang Gang, the Dogs, the Demand, the Conglomeration, and the Death Riders, with a wildcard team that has not been revealed. The match starts on the buy-in pre-show and carries into the main pay-per-view broadcast. Khan said he looked back at the Casino Battle Royal and the Christmas Trios Royal when designing this format.
And Men's Journal is predicting that the wildcard team could be Swerve Strickland teaming with the debuting New Day, Kofi Kingston, and Austin Creed in their first post-WWE appearance.
That would be a massive moment. Bleacher Report noted that Swerve Strickland's status and placement on the card have been unclear for weeks, and that his confrontation with Ricochet created online buzz around the New Day's potential AEW debut. Whether it actually happens is the question. AEW has not hinted at it strongly in the last 2 weeks of television.
Okay, let's get to the WWE counterpoint that I think is the most important one in this whole breakdown. Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn becoming undisputed WWE champion in 2026 is a Triple H booking decision. Full stop. That is not a move Vince McMahon would have authorized. You can criticize stretches of WWE television all day long and still have to acknowledge that one fact. The creative environment at WWE has genuinely changed.
And that is the thing that makes the AEW versus WWE debate more complicated than just saying one company is good and one is bad.
Exactly. There is a piece from Wrestling Moments that makes this point really well. It talks about how Vince McMahon had a fundamental distaste for tag team wrestling, often dismissing it as paying 2 extra guys to do the job of 1. That philosophy explains the instability of the tag division over 20 years. The post-Vince reality is a genuine correction. The obsession with a narrow definition of what a main event star should look like has started to loosen.
So the argument to the Maryland AEW fan is not WWE is actually great. The argument is WWE is not the same company it was 5 years ago.
Right. And the grown version of the debate is not AEW good, WWE terrible. It is. AEW currently has the deeper high-end men's match engine. WWE currently has the bigger machine for turning someone into a mainstream champion. Neither is terrible. Both are sitting on ridiculous amounts of talent and wasting entire divisions.
AEW's men's roster depth is genuinely insane when you list it out.
Ospreay, Omega, MJF, Takeshita, Fletcher, Okada, Swerve, Hangman, Darby, Moxley, Eddie Kingston. The potential match combinations are, as one analysis put it, ridiculous. The stylistic variety alone, you have Japanese puroresu, British technical wrestling, high-flying, brawling, faction warfare. AEW's men's division is genuinely the strongest argument for the promotion in 2026.
And WWE's counter-argument is the depth of its women's roster and the mainstream visibility of its production.
WWE's women's roster is described by Suplex Digest as arguably the deepest women's division in company history. Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Io Sky, Liv Morgan, Bayley, Jade Cargill, Tiffany Stratton. The problem is not the talent. The problem is that too many of them are competing for limited spotlight. And that is the same problem AEW has on the women's side, just with a smaller roster.
So both companies have the same structural problem. Too much talent, not enough decisive wins for the people who deserve them.
That is the shared weakness, and it is the most honest version of the critique. You are not saying one company is bad. You are saying both companies are dropping the ball on specific divisions while excelling in others. The real question is, which company fixes it faster?
Let me ask you something that I think is the most interesting framing of this whole debate. If the All In picks hit, say, 7 out of 9, what does that actually prove?
It proves that AEW's booking logic is readable. That the company is making decisions that follow a coherent internal logic. Osprey wins because the year-long build demands it. Mercedes wins because the business demands it. MJF wins the gauntlet because the post All In program demands it. Readable booking is actually a sign of health. It means the company is telling a story that makes sense.
And it does not mean WWE is terrible. It just means AEW is executing its narrative logic at a high level right now.
Exactly. And the WWE counterpoints that hold weight, Sami Zayn as champion, the Obafemi and Braun Breaker solution for main event fatigue, the Lucha Brothers fix for the tag division, those are all arguments that WWE has the tools to solve its problems. It is just a question of whether the company moves fast enough.
There is a line from the analysis that I keep coming back to. The actual problem is not WWE versus AEW. It is, which company is better at turning its talent into meaningful stars?
That is the only question that matters long term. You can have the best roster in the world and still fail if you do not know how to make people care about the people on it. AEW has the match engine. WWE has the mainstream machine. The company that figures out how to combine both of those things, great matches and meaningful star making, wins the decade.
And right now, neither company has fully figured that out.
Neither company has fully figured it out. AEW has championship bloat, a tag division that needs new blood, and a women's division that needs stronger hierarchy. WWE has main event fatigue, a mid-card championship structure that dilutes prestige, and a women's roster where too many talented people are stuck in creative traffic. Both companies are capable of greatness. Both are leaving things on the table.
So when you step back from all of this, the full card, the booking philosophy breakdown, the WWE counterpoints, here is what this really comes down to. Wembley Stadium on Sunday is not just a wrestling show. It is a referendum on whether AEW can deliver on a year's worth of narrative promises in a single night.
And the card is genuinely strong enough to deliver. Osprey versus Omega has been called the match of the night by multiple analysts before it has even happened. Willow versus Mercedes has been the most consistent storyline in AEW all year, according to Bleacher Report. The International Championship three-way has the richest history of any match on the card, and the Falls Count Anywhere stipulation for Knight versus Darby is built for a Wembley crowd.
The card earned it. That is the honest assessment.
The card earned it. The build has been uneven. Bleacher Report specifically called the road to All In 2026 chaotic, noting that the go-home episode of Dynamite left more questions than answers on some of the biggest stars. But the matches themselves are set up to deliver. And at a show approaching a $6 million gate, with over 40,000 people in Wembley Stadium, the performers are going to pull out everything they have.
And if the picks hit, if Osprey, Mercedes, Darby, MJF and Fletcher all come through, the verdict for the Maryland AEW fan debate is actually pretty clean.
The verdict is AEW's agenda accepted. WWE acquitted of being terrible. Court adjourned. Because you cannot walk into that debate and say WWE is a terrible promotion when Sami Zayn is the undisputed WWE champion in 2026. That is not a terrible company's decision. That is a company that has evolved.
You do not have to hate WWE to love AEW. That is the whole thesis.
That is the whole thesis. And it is a stronger argument than AEW good, WWE bad, because it is actually true. Both companies have strengths that are real and weaknesses that are real. The fan who can see both clearly is the one who actually understands the industry.
All right, here is what I want to leave people with. 40,000 people are going to be in Wembley Stadium on Sunday. AEW is approaching a $6 million gate. The top 3 shows in AEW history have all come from that building. And the main event is a match that has been building for over a year between 2 of the best wrestlers on the planet. Whatever you think about the booking philosophy debate, that is a genuinely special event.
And the way to watch it is not just as a fan picking winners. Watch it as someone reading the decisions. Every result is a statement. Fletcher retaining tells you AEW is serious about a new world champion. Mercedes winning tells you AEW is protecting its mainstream anchor. Osprey winning tells you AEW is willing to deliver the moment the year demanded. The results are the receipts.
The results are the receipts. And on Monday, whoever walks into that debate with the Maryland AEW fan is going to have either a very strong case or a very humbling one.
Either way, the debate is better when both sides actually know what they are talking about. And the honest version of this argument, AEW has the match engine, WWE has the mainstream machine, both are wasting divisions, both are capable of greatness. That is the version that wins any room. 40,000 people in Wembley Stadium, a $6 million gate, and a prediction scorecard that is about to get graded in real time.
the legacy you're building with every episode, every prediction, every breakdown. Here's how I'd fold your final thought into the narration, council tone, like it belongs at the end of the episode. Final thought, combos and kayfabe style. At the end of the day, destiny isn't something you stumble into. It's something you work toward, harder, smarter, and with intention. Every step, every rep, every choice. That's the road to your legacy. Voice 3. A legacy isn't built overnight. It's built in the grind, in the consistency, in the moment where you decide you're not just showing up, you are leveling up. Voice 1. So whether it's AEW, WWE, or your own life, the journey is the story. The work is the foundation. And the legacy, that's the part the world remembers. If you